What's up, guys? It's your Super Playaz, and I got an amazing guest, the national champ himself, bringing in the amazing spice, Brian Samuel.
What up?
Yeah, I should be a WWE announcer, man, and hyping you up like crazy. So, and so you sent me this crazy deck profile that you pretty much showcased it on, I believe, Marcus Cantarsi's live stream, and you were dominating. I saw that you were just killing it. And why this Frieza leader? Let's just start off right there. Like, why this guy?
I mean, when the starter deck got released, I was just kind of interested in playing all the new starters, trying to see, get a feel for all the new things, and I saw that this leader just, I mean, it ran really well, pretty much out of the box. So I was like, okay, I want to see what happens when you actually put, cards in it and put some thought into it. So
the crazy stuff.
yeah, little stuff. It's actually not that expensive of a deck, to be honest. 'Cause you don't really have to run all the draft box cards in. You can actually run it without it, which is pretty cool.
Okay, cool. All right, let's start off with the Unison stuff. All right, so right now I'm looking at the 4 Frieza Unison cards. I believe this comes in the starter deck. Why do you run 4?
It's essential. This deck is completely reliant on having a Unison out. So I know a lot of people like running the other Frieza, the super rare that got released. That you put a card on top of your deck or something and it gets critical. I feel that this one is just a lot stronger, especially in this deck, because the fact that it almost never dies because you can just take a life instead of losing counters is huge. But also because you get to draw a card and discard a card, but your engine gets to start on turn 2. So on turn 2, you're drawing a card, you're discarding a Dodoria, you're putting it in play. If you had Healing Pot on turn 1, you're drawing another card, and it just gets your whole cycle rolling.
All right. Cool, and we'll move on to the next one. This one I don't think a lot of people know about yet. If they haven't seen it, it's called the Meta Cooler Terrifying Horde. Why 2? What is? Tell us why.
It's probably one of the strongest Unison that I've seen yet. When I first made the deck, I thought I was actually playing 4 of this, and I was pretty much swapping the ratios. But then I realized it was very important to go off on turn 2. That one turn actually made a huge difference. But especially like in the mirror match, this cooler just takes over. Like it does everything, man. You get to discard Dodoria, you draw 2 cards, Dodoria comes in play, you draw another card, and then you get to put in play a token. And then your leader gives this guy crit, and it's just like it applies a lot of pressure while building your hand. It's just huge. I felt 2 was a correct number because, like I said, you really want the Frieza on turn 2. You want it out.
Gotcha.
There,
so. Okay, cool. And so we'll move on to the next one. Is going to be Kunkunsa, Beastly Maiden. I think that's her name, right?
Yeah, the draft box.
Yeah. Why do you go for it?
Man, she's. So it was a little tough because like at first like you kind of want to play Zarbon, the new Zarbon, the negate. It kind of does the same thing. Okay. But believe it or not, that paying 3 over 2 is actually huge. I've been testing this. I've been testing this now for since this past week, and the costing 2 to do pretty much the same thing was just so much better. So I'm using her instead.
Okay. Cool. And then we'll move on to Ribrianne, Punishing Passion, one of the most expensive draft box cards. Why do you only run 2? I've seen other builds run 4. Why do you only run 2?
I really, to be honest, I rarely even use it in my games. It's kind of weird. Like I almost, you don't even really need it.
So you don't really need it. You could just take it out. You would say.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I would run it if you have it. If you have it, I would run it. I mean, it's just good in some situations, but like that's what I'm saying. Like this deck can actually run without the draft box cards as well. So
okay. But
so that's also if you're looking for more of a budget build, that's something you can do.
Cool.
But yeah, it's good. Rebrand's good. You put it in, you can discard it with your all your cards in your deck, discard and draw. So you can discard it, make your opponent drop 2 cards. It obviously syncs very well.
Nice. And then we'll move on to Frieza Charismatic Villain. This is obviously the new SR. Why do you run this guy?
I mean, this card it's pretty broken. If you have a Unison player with 2 or more counters, which you're almost always going to have in this deck, you just put it in play. When it means counter play, you just KO anything 7 or less. it's pretty ridiculous to be able to do that for free. You'll find yourself tapping out a lot in this deck, and you'll realize it's not even that big of a deal because of your negates that you can play for free, and this guy you can play for free.
Dang.
So it's like, it's crazy.
And he KOs anything that's like 7 or less, right? Or something like that? I'm not...
Dang. 7 or less. If it went through barrier, it'd be crazier, but... I mean,
it'd be a really expensive SR for the next
set. Can't make it too OP, though. Yeah.
And then we got Surprise Attack Frieza. No explanation. I'm guessing you KO so much that you could easily bring him out, right?
Yeah, it's just additional pressure. One thing that this deck kind of lacked was battle cards on board that were able to pressure your opponent. So I mean, you're just being able to KO and then the crit and then giving your Unison crit with your leader. It's a lot of pressure and it's a lot of things to deal with.
All right, and then we got Dodoria. I can't really read the name, but Dodoria from the starter deck, correct? Like I think he's from the starter deck. Why do you run 4 of these guys and 4 of the starter decks Zarbon as well?
Those are definitely the heart and soul of the deck. The Dodoria with healing pod with your Unison is just ridiculous. It just keeps coming out. And if you're playing like the mirror match, something like that, and they make you discard cards from your hand, you just discard Dodoria, put it in play, and then draw the card for healing pod. So you're not really losing.
So you don't lose anything.
So like it's your heart and soul. And Zarbon Search is the top 5 for anything. You know, and for any green Unison 2 or less, or a Frieza army with entry cost 4 or less. That's also my reasoning for running the Zarbon super combo as well.
Nice. Because you can search out a super combo, right? I'm guessing.
Yeah, a lot of people like running the Bionic Blitz, the super combo, the android, but I mean, it's not searchable. I feel like it's just way more value. The fact that you draw a card, you're already making your opponent discard enough. So
cool.
I feel like it's good.
And then we got Master Roshi Kamehameha Origins.
Ooh, busted in here.
You think it's busted? Oh, tell us why. Why do you think it's busted?
It's busted in here because you can pretty much just loop your dormant potentials over and over again. So like. Yeah, it's a huge. It's probably one of the key cards against Vajanks is because you're allowed you just dormant and then like you dump the Roshi with your Unison next turn and then you get the dormant back and then you use your Zarbon blocker and you block and it pretty much ends their turn. So like you can literally just keep recycling it like as long as you drawing your Roshis. And,
that's insane.
So it's pretty nutty. So like you just end your turn and then next turn you're just doing everything. You're discarding cards from opponent's hand, applying a lot of pressure. And it's just,
And just like always, you always got the Brian special. You always run 1-ofs. Why do you run 1 Super 17, the Infernal Machine, and 1 Champa?
Well, Champa, I'm probably in future builds, I'll probably up the Champa count to about 2. It's just one of your finishing cards. I mean, you have so much critical in here as well. It's pretty nasty. The Super 17. Is just something that can finish games sometimes in certain matchups. It's also cool too. You might surprise your opponents. A lot of people forget that the healing pod actually has an additional effect, to where you can put in play a battle card entries cost of 4 or less from your drop. So
you can. I forgot about that.
So exactly. So I'm saying a lot of people forget about that. So like if it's in your drop, you can just play it from your drop, discard a Dodoria and something else, put him in play, and then just make your opponent drop 2 cards. They're already gonna have a low hand. His attack can't be negated. He's just an additional finisher.
All right, so let's move on to the next other cards that I'm gonna talk about. Is Inferno Emperor Frieza and Zarbon Cosmic Elite. Why 3 and 3?
Well, Zarbon Cosmic Elite is another pretty crucial card for this deck. So pretty much it's another card like Dodoria. It just never really dies unless you like warp it. So when it's in your drop, you just choose a green card in your hand and you get to play it. You discard a card in your hand. So most of the time you're gonna discard Dodoria. Dodoria is gonna get put in play, and then this guy's gonna get put in play as well.
Nice.
So that's nasty. It's a blocker.
Jeez,
it just goes really well with the deck. So I felt 3 is fine because you don't need to draw too many of them. Most of the time you'll probably search it out with your 1-drop Zarbon if you don't get a super combo. The 1-drop Emperor Frieza, it's a Self-Awakener. Just in case like some matchups that just sit there and don't want to do anything to you.
Invoker, cough, Invoker.
Exactly. There's a lot of decks like that. Just freaking sit there. So it's like, okay, like bring this out. You take a life because unfortunately in this leader you can't play any Saiyans. Some people didn't know that.
There you
can't
go.
play any Saiyan cards. So I mean so you can't play like the 1-drop green crit Gohan, you know, like self
Gotcha.
Like, this is, you know, unfortunately one of the only
very Frieza
like,
themed.
You can play the new 1-drop Doria, but, yeah, exactly.
He's like, I don't want any Saiyans in my deck.
I like yeah, you know, surprisingly, it doesn't hurt it as much as you would think. I thought that would hurt not being able to play Black Mass Sand or anything like that for the Vajang matchup, but it really didn't hurt it as much as I thought it would.
Gotcha.
So,
and then we're gonna move on to Fu, the Dark Banisher, and the Black Smoke Dragon, Internal Evil. What? Obviously one of, obviously secret rare. But why that secret rare?
Two more finishers in the deck. Fu, the Dark Banisher. Your opponent's resources are already being so low. It's pretty much a game ender. It comes out, you can't really do anything, you know, at that point. So you know, making your opponent warp an additional card for any effects. It's pretty crazy.
Gotcha.
It's also good in the hatch matchup, things like that. But so smoke was put in there because I feel like my deck has enough removal. The only 2 secret rares you can really run in this deck are either the dark Dragon Balls, the negative energy Dragon Balls, or smoke. And like I said, I felt that my deck already cleared board enough. So I didn't really. Smoke just gives you another out late in the game. You know, it also goes with the hand destruction theme, or if you need to know your opponent out, or, you know, warp the board, whatever it may be. But it gives you other outs, and I just think you're always gonna have the drop for when it gets to turn 5. You're always gonna have the drop built. So that's
all
always
right.
good to go.
Cool. And so we're moving on to the extra cards, and obviously Dormant Potential Unleashed, 4 of. I've been telling people. You told me, you're like, dude. And I was telling you, bro, this is a green Nimbus, and you're like, hell yeah. And this is what green needed. And tell them why you run 4.
I mean, there's just so. I mean, there's so much aggro out there right now. I know everybody hates Vajang. It's very oppressive. It's a crazy, horrible deck. And it's just, you know, this is mandatory against decks like that. You know, decks that just go really wide on you, and you know, it's you know, you end your turn. Like I said, you can just recycle it in this deck. So you just recycle it with Roshi, keep getting it back. You know, you can just keep ending your opponent's turn. And it just goes hand in hand with that Zarbon Cosmic Elite, because like, so you know, there's different steps. You know, the whole steps into the turn. So like when they declare an attack, you get to activate your extra card, right? So you play the extra card. So now they only have 1 more attack, but on top of being able to play the extra card, you can also block after you play the extra card.
Yep, like you said, that little loop.
Exactly, it's like a little loop, man. So like next turn, it's like, okay, get back Dormant, put in play Zarbon again, draw a card, blah 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 blah. So like, it's pretty much like an infinite defense where they can't really do much to you.
Cool.
And yeah, and it just keeps decks like that at bay. You know, like once you get rolling, like after like turn 2, it's pretty much, you can just pretty much just lock them down the rest of the game.
Cool. And then we have Cell, Earth Shattering Kamehameha, and obviously the key card I feel that you must run 4 of is Frieza Army Healing Pod. So tell them why you need this.
Well, the Frieza Army Healing Pod. I mean, that's like, when I ran the deck, when the starter deck first came out, like, and I was running it fresh out of the box just for fun. You know, obviously the biggest thing that it would lack was hand advantage. It didn't really have a nice hand size. Frieza Army Healing Pod it solved everything. It's just, in this deck, it's just busted. Like,
it just draws a lot.
Cards, you know, on your turn, on your opponent's turn, like you're drawing every turn, and you know, and that secondary effect, you know, it may actually play a role for you one time. You know, you may not have something to bring out, you want to abuse that Android Super 17. Like, it's just you know, it's the most broken card in the deck. So
that's insane.
The Cells versus Destroying Kamehameha, that card just has so much value. I mean, it's just, you know, plus 15k discard a card, like. It's a card of your choice, which is why I actually like the leader as well. The leader lets you choose a card too. Like,
that's broken.
Yeah, it's broken, man. You know, they're just really good cards.
And then the last but not least, Protector of the People. Why do you run 2?
Again, for the Vajang's matchup, I just hate that deck. So it's just another card to kind of battle that. And also it works good in this deck as well because you have to pitch a card for the effect, so you can always pitch Dodoria, and Dodoria comes in play with Healing Pod and draw a card. So it's pretty much like you're not really losing much. It just anything that makes you discard in this deck is actually getting you value. So it's pretty much a no-brainer for me. I was like, you know what? I'm just. It
looks like it. I'm like, I'm looking at it. I'm like, the Doria. You drop it for Protector, it comes back. You drop it for Dormant, it comes back, and you draw another card. You're not negging anything.
Yeah, you're never negging, man. You know, so it's pretty wild. And now that we can abuse, you know, up to 60 cards, I felt that, you know, now I'm playing a 55 card list. You know, the deck does draw a pretty good amount, so I feel like it's the right amount to where you can see what you need to see.
And there you guys have it. This is from the champ himself, the most broken decks he makes all the time. And huge shout outs to you, man. Thank you for being on the team and making this spicy deck. Are we going to see this in our Friday tournament? Will we get a sneak peek? Are you going to be playing this Friday in our tournament with this deck?
You know, I'm actually gonna try. You know, hopefully I can get around my work schedule. You know, and get in there and try this deck out because I feel it's really strong. And you know, hopefully if I can't run it, somebody else try it out, you know, give it a shot. See what they think. You know, see what they think.
For sure, man. There we go. There you guys have it, everybody. This is from the national champ himself. He might spike all these cards up in price. Who knows? But get them while they're cheap. And thank you, Brian, for tuning in. And
thank you guys.
Thank you, man. And like always, like we always say, Brian, y'all stay super.
Super, baby. Woo!
Draw 6 crap hand, then I'm a mulligan. I'ma draw again, got a golly hand now. I'm saying, man, I'ma go first, so I'ma go with the Broly play. Pick up 7 from the top. I'ma make this beat pop just so I can send your cards to the motherfucking drop. You know how I do it like Broly.